I did get this right?
Yes, you did. Hello, everybody, and good morning. I hope you guys are feeling great. And they removed the animation from my slide. I just realized. Anyways, so if we look at the screen, and I know I only have 20 minutes, and I'm going to rush through a bit because there's a lot in there, and maybe some math as well, so don't be very scared. But generally, we all have a lot of ideas. And let me add a couple of fun facts there, which is more than 90% of startups fail. And big tech giants like Google, YouTube, Amazon, like Facebook, they're sitting on graveyard of products that didn't work out themselves, right? So sometimes it might be that the problem wasn't worth solving. It could be like multitude of reasons. One of them could be the problem wasn't worth solving. Or the second, it could be that the size of the problem that you were trying to solve wasn't significant enough. So the first part, generally, you get the answers about through your qualitative signals. But about the second part is something that I think I will talk to you about, which is how do we figure out the significance of the problem that we're trying to solve. Also, maybe the pros and cons of doing it or not. So I think we all know some startup hacks, and today I think I would just try to talk to you about and put together some sort of a starter pack for a new product strategy. So let's begin with why and why not. First of all, why? Well, it expands your market size. It adds another stream of revenue for you, also that makes your business more defensible. You hedge your risks. You get higher retention of customer because they perceive more value of you, and most likely, if they're not using your one product, they might be using your another product. And at the same time, for your bottom line, you might leverage some synergies. You would reduce the cost that you're spending on acquiring these new customers, and also you would leverage some overheads that will make your profits and margins more better so that you can pass on those profits to the customers again. And it's a very good virtuous cycle. Also, stronger brand because your product now has more value because it's not just solving their one problem, but it's solving their multiple problems. Why not? Well, it sounds very exciting to just let's do a new product, but then it comes with some of the problems as well. It will increase the complexity that you already have. Also, you might lose focus because maybe right now you need to focus more on your existing product or things that you're already doing. And third thing, that a lot of new products need a lot of upfront investment. So every new vertical would add some overhead also to your overall business. So this is kind of just what are the key dimensions of our starter pack. First is your return on investment estimated. How efficiently are you allocating your capital? What is the size of your market? How fast is it growing? How many synergies do you have with your existing product? And are you actually making any differentiation? How much capital that you're investing and what is the leverage does that capital have? And at the end, how do you choose to go to market in terms of who are the users that you're actually solving the problem for? What is the speed that you're going to go to the market? And the regulations. There's a bunch more, but yes. Also, don't ignore the market trends. We are becoming more and more digital. Having a newspaper business might be a bit tricky to win in this economy. Shared economy, everything is becoming more towards sharing things, being more sustainable. People are working more and more from different locations from their home. And a lot of different market dynamics that might be applicable to your own product and to your company. Let's jump to how to do this. Generally, it's easier to pick an adjacent vertical because then you already have a similar brand identity according to what you're doing. If you jump from doing something to something completely different, most likely you're going to not be able to leverage the synergies that you built. Find a transformative business model. We will get into this later in the next slide. Finding an inflection point to make sure that you know where does your hockey stick curve actually start. And then the last one is being the first mover is not always an advantage. And I'm guessing a lot of us know that sometimes instead of doing things more creatively or new, we should just do them probably better than what's already being done. So coming to the transformative business models. First of all, you need to have an attractive market size, which means what is the significance of the problem that you're solving. Now, a lot of times, the problem that you're trying to solve, let's say it's a new thing. It's not something that you can just Google what is the market size of this number and you can find it. It's going to be harder than that because it's not something that already exists. So it doesn't have to be completely accurate. It can be directional, but at least it will give you some level of confidence about what is the problem that you're trying to solve and if it's worth doing. Potential profitability, like even having a very big market, but then at the end making no money at all is probably not sustainable long term. You need to have synergies, know what's going on in the market and what your competition is doing. And at the end of the day, data is not enough. You need to have some intuition and your pragmatic confidence yourself. So believe in yourself. This is a small example, let's say it's actually from Bolt and how do we think about different things. If you look at the x-axis, it's about the synergies that we have with the existing capabilities and strengths that we already have. And on the y-axis, you see what is the attractiveness of our market. That means what is the size, how fast is it growing, how much profit can you actually get from it. And let's say our existing vertical was ride-hailing. What is something that comes right next to it, and that we can actually leverage our capabilities, but also has significant market size, so it makes it attractive for you to go and start like this new path, a new vertical, a new product as well. So let's say you said, OK, I'm going to do this. This looks like it's a good product. I'm going to launch this new vertical, new business line, or just standalone do this. How do you do it? Like, how do you get to the vision? 4 things. Firstly, you want to figure out, I have a lot of things to do currently. Now, if I add on this new complexity, how do I allocate my resources? How I'm going to actually do the prioritization? How will I drive value? And at the end of the day, like quality matters, right? So firstly, let's say you have a business of X amount. You want to make sure that the new product that you add can be significant. It doesn't need to be like a very small slice of the pie, and then you spend so much time and effort on it. It needs to be a significant chunk added incrementally to your business. It needs to be a better value proposition. So overall, it needs to make your company better than what it is today. It should give you some synergies, because then you can have some more profits, increase your margins overall. Also, I think it's a bit easy to win a market if you think you have better value proposition and the competition isn't that strong. And the transformative business model that we talked about before. The math part. So how do you do the prioritization? Generally, when you found out this is going to be the projected profit that we can get as a percentage of my business, you then divide it by the effort that you expect you will take to put into to get that, right? And the 2 things that you see at the bottom, which is green and red, the first part is you might have a limited amount of capital, a limited amount of resources. So you don't want to spread yourself to the point when you're left with nothing. So when you're estimating the time to pay back, it's based on the capital that you already have in your company. And if the time to pay back looks like it's longer than you can sustain, probably not a good idea, right? Focus areas, generally. I will not try to go into very much detail, but if you see, generally, if you're thinking about it, your value proposition should be solid. Second, you need to know what are the main KPIs for all the stakeholders of your product. And also, at the end, keep optimizing your costs, because that's efficiency, and you need to be healthy long-term as a business. Keep adding more value to your customers, and you can't do that if you're not optimizing. And at the end, preserving quality means you also need to put and allocate your focus and efforts to the things that you already have and to the things also that you're thinking of about in the new. So how to grow? Let's say you decided, you've launched it, you've allocated your resources, everything works out, you've launched the product. How do you grow post your launch? Since we only have 20 minutes and we can't go into the more detailed part of how do we do it, it's just some of the simple questions that you can think about answering. Firstly, you should know, how does this product grow? Identify what are the points of leverage. That means like, okay, it might grow quite well for a while, but there might be points where it slows down or the growth stops. Second, how do we improve on these constraints as well? Like if we have figured out what are the limits of ourselves. Fourth, communicate. How do we align our individuals, the teams, and the shareholders on the strategy that you have? And at the end, when you are progressing further, you will have continuously new information. So be vigilant about what is the new information that you have, which will change your strategy. Assessing performance. Well, I think some of it is something that we've already covered, but again, it's very important to make sure that the metrics that you are optimizing for are the right ones. You will have a constellation of metrics, like this one, right? But you can't optimize for all of them. So it depends on the stage of the company growth that you are, that you need to choose which is your North Star. When you're a very early stage startup, maybe for you, activation or getting as many new customers is the North Star. But after a while, maybe retaining those customers becomes a bigger North Star. And if you have a marketplace, then your supply side and your demand side all will have different North Star metrics, and then efficiently you find you optimize for it. Last one is, again, keep continuously allocating resources, top down and bottom up. What that means is, again, please make sure you know that what is the profit you're estimating from these businesses. There would be also this fuzzy factor because we can't see the future. It's assumptions. And make sure that your growth ambition and your bottom-up calculation of what you need to put out there is matching. We'll do a small case study of Bolt Drive. I'm guessing, how many people here have tried Bolt Drive? OK, so actually not quite many. I haven't personally as well because I don't have a driver's license in Estonia. But we can talk about why we did it, right? It's a big addressable market. And not a big addressable market as in just for car sharing, but for people to move from point A to B to C to D and multiple other things that they want to do and have the flexibility of doing so. So that improved the value proposition that they had, which was before they were just taking taxi rides from A to B to C, but now they can pick the car when they want at cheaper prices. So it was more affordable, and it just gave them way more flexibility. And because we had some synergies, which is similar customer base, you could acquire those customers cheaper and also share some of the overheads costs. Why not? Because, well, it did increase a hell lot of complexity in the organization. Cars are not cheap. They take a lot of money, and also not that easy to get the cars right now, as you know. And at the end, there's risks of who is driving the car? Is that person going to be drunk? Are they going to crash the cars? Are they going to get a lot of fines? Are they going to get into accidents? And I'm sure this happens, and this has happened a lot. But what do we do with it is we learn, we build that learning curve, we retrospect, and then we just grow forward. So what happened after a few months of Bolt Drive as a launch, even though it wasn't the first player, it came in as third. There was other players who were offering similar services. It didn't do any paid marketing because similar customer base, you didn't have to do this. You already had a lot of people who could have direct access to knowing that there's a new product. And because it's offline, you can see it on the streets. It reached very high utilization because it had a good value proposition. And at the end, to improve it further, we added more cars because users would, or people would want to just walk sooner and find a car sooner, and makes them happier because we love to be lazy. And that's it from my side. So I hope I was not going very fast. We also have 2 minutes. But if you guys want to grab me later, have any questions, feel free to approach. Have a good day.
Now, before you leave the stage, I do have some questions for you.
OK.
So if you had done this presentation 3 years ago, before we got this nasty bug, what will be missing from this presentation, and what will be added if you had done this presentation 3 years ago?
Nothing, honestly, because this is mostly more or less fundamentals of how you solve a problem. And instead of working hard, working smart, you sharpen the axe before you start axing the tree. Don't do it. Don't do deforestation. But yeah, basically, I don't think anything would have changed 3 years ago. The thinking would still be the same.
If people want to contact you to know more about product strategy, what would be the wisest thing for them to do? Will they have to write you an email, or are you accessible via LinkedIn?
I am accessible via LinkedIn, yes. My name is Aastha Yadav, and somewhere maybe it was my LinkedIn. Oh, yes, it's there in my presentation, which is now gone from the screen, but it was there at the end. You can find me, Aastha Yadav, and I will show up in Estonia.
Now, because none of you have asked questions on Vote Demo, I really want to ask, does anyone have a question to Aastha, but he or she is too shy to ask it? If not, then let's give a big round of applause to Aastha.
Perfect.